Welcome to MetalVice in 666. I'm your host, Brian, joined with the other host,
Karen.
And for this episode, we are going to be chatting about the Iron Maiden documentary we just saw a couple days ago, titled Burning Ambitions.
I think that's a good title.
It is a good title. This was announced. We talked about this during our main podcast as well when it was announced.
During one of the headlines?
Yeah, that they're going to be doing a premiere and whatnot, so go check it out. And it was only in Chicago, I think, for 2 days.
Okay.
So we ended up going, I think, on the 7th of May.
7th of May,
when we went to go see this.
Yeah, it's not the 20th yet.
It is not. No, it's only the 12th as of this recording. So we went to check this out, and yeah, we're just going to chat about that. But when it was announced, I did reach out to Metal Movie Nights here in Chicago.
Right, I forgot about that.
Who do metal-themed movies and whatnot at theaters and different venues throughout the city. They've done one at Thalia Hall. Typically, it's at the Music Box when we've gone to see it. That's where we saw Heavy Trip and Heavier Trip, and then like Day of the Dead. And they do a bunch of other sort of scary, whatever, you think of like metalheads, you think of like movies. Like for me, that's scary movies.
Yeah.
So my hope was they would do something for this as well, because they did do the world premiere of Heavier Trip. So like maybe they get some sort of in and whatnot, and they can do that. They did politely reach out, and they're like, no, we're not doing that for those. It's sort of those sort of releases. It's a bigger company that manages that and whatnot. So we don't get that. But in July, we're planning to do something. So stay tuned for that. So we'll definitely check that out again. But we did not get to do this through Metal Movie Nights.
No.
But we did get tickets and go to see this, and I will say the turnout for this was very good, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good too.
A lot of fucking people showed up for this. Everybody in their Iron Maiden gear, except for us. We did not wear Iron Maiden shit.
I don't have an Iron Maiden shirt, so.
I've got the one from the one show we saw.
Yeah, you did buy a shirt from that
but,
show.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of Iron Maiden. I do like their stuff, but I don't listen to that much. I don't know much about the history of the band either.
I would agree. It's like the main songs that we hear all the time. Yeah.
Like Number of the Beast, I was one of the CDs I owned growing up, and I listened to that over and over and over. And it's a fucking brilliant album, almost perfect from start to finish, if not perfect. Like it's so fucking good. And then Fear of the Dark, just that one song I listen to all the time. Brave New World's my other favorite album of theirs. We do have one vinyl of theirs as well. Like it's the Dance with the Dead or whatever. It's weird. It came out in like 2006 or 8 or something. Okay. It's got like a chessboard or some shit on the ground. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe I'll throw that up on the screen here for those of you at home watching. But so I've known of Iron Maiden obviously for a long time. I've known some of their history, like that Bruce Dickinson wasn't the original singer. I didn't know he left the band in the 90s and then came back right before Brave New World. I learned that in the documentary. There's a lot of shit I learned from the documentary just watching that.
It is kind of fun to, especially bands that you don't know the history of, but also bands that you do know the history of, but like seeing a documentary like this of like, the early days, or you hear stories of the early days or something like that, and then you get to see footage of it or whatever.
That was really cool seeing the footage and the old images from back then.
They almost started like really early, recording themselves. So I
will say I do wish this focused more on how they started. It basically went from how they started all the way up to present day.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish it was shorter and more focused. I wish, like, there was a part in the movie where they go to Poland behind the Iron Curtain.
Yes. Yep.
And they talk about that and how, like, no bands go to the Soviet Union and play beside, on that side of the curtain.
Do you remember how people used to smuggle records into?
It was Bone Records. Yeah.
What?
They call them Bone Records, I believe. It was on X-ray discs of bones. So
that's
where
the
Bone record came from.
Yeah. Well, I never heard of Bone Records, but I knew
that's
they
like
were
the slang for it. Yeah, Bone Records.
But I knew that so in the documentary, sorry, I had to bring that up because in the documentary they mention that there's no record stores in Poland at the time, and they have 0 record sales. So it's like, why would you tour Poland? But obviously they have a fan base, and most people were like, oh, if you had family in like Germany, you could get a record or whatever. And I'm like, or you smuggle them.
Yeah, smuggling cassettes, smuggling vinyl through X-rays and whatnot.
Yep.
Different ways to get the music over there for sure.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Which that was a fun part, to be able to see the fan base in Poland and like see how excited people were, and they kind of contributed it to like the Beatles coming to New York and stuff like that. Like it was almost the same enthusiasm.
The vibes I got were from Metallica in Moscow in 1990, how they played after the Soviet Union fell, and they went there, and you saw like the helicopters flying over like this million plus, and same thing they were talking about during the Iron Maiden one of like, you know, the front row security blocking the barricade from us and the crowd and whatnot was like people in military
like the
uniforms.
military, like the state police.
And by the end of the performance, they had taken their hats off, they had taken their uniforms off, and they were just having a good time listening to the music as well. Iron Maiden said basically the exact same thing. But you know, I could have seen that being the end of the documentary. Make that the story.
Oh, I see.
Going from the start of the band all the way up to the Iron Curtain show.
Yeah.
And like, I could have seen that being just like, that would have been a very condensed, you could have a lot more information about where the band came from, their backgrounds. Becoming Led Zeppelin was a movie that came out a couple years ago. I thought that was really, really good. And they did a lot of that in that documentary, talking about where each member came from, what their background was in music, how they met. And then they went into talking about different albums and how the albums got made. I do wish there was more of that in this documentary. But all in all, I did think it was really, really good. I did enjoy once it got past that. And at that point, I was like, how are we going to end this? Where is this going to end? And it goes, like I said, it goes all the way up to present day where they're like, we're still going to keep touring. We're still going to keep playing. As long as we can, we'll keep out, like going out there and doing it and whatnot. So
there was a lot of parts that I really enjoyed as well, where like the fan base, because they had fans actually talking, which
I forgot about that.
We kind of talked afterwards. It's like, I wonder if there was like a competition like that you could apply, or not apply for, but like to try to get chosen to be on it, which would be really, really cool. But the people there talking, there are some record execs, journalists. Was Tom Morello in that one?
Tom Morello, I think, was in that one.
I feel like everything we watched lately has Tom Morello.
We just watched the documentary about the Cubs in the 7th game of the World Series when they won. And he's in that, obviously, because he's from the Chicagoland area.
Yeah, and he's a huge
Cubs fan.
Huge Cubs fan. But it was just funny because I'm like, wait, was he in that again?
Lars was in it.
I feel like at the beginning they had Dave Mustaine's name on there, but he was never in it. I want to go back, like, when it comes out, like, and watch again, because it's at the beginning credit, you know, like at the beginning how they have like names that pop up. I feel like Dave Mustaine's name was popped up there, but he's never in it.
I didn't see that.
So anyways, maybe my eyes were just like, you know, playing tricks on me or whatever.
Javier Bardem was in there.
Yes. Yep.
But then other than that, like as you said, just a bunch of other just like, random fans,
like
normal,
true fans,
normal people like us.
Yeah. From all over the world too, like Brazil, Mexico, like Poland area, because there was a guy from Poland.
There were some people from Poland and they're talking about it.
I think was at the show in Poland.
I think so, yeah.
So like just people from all over the place. But the thing that really resonated with me, and this is true about probably any band, but definitely the metal community, is everybody was saying they followed Iron Maiden because they felt like they belonged. Listening to the music, because Iron Maiden kind of came up like when there wasn't really metal.
They were one of the forefathers for sure. The founders.
And like, you know, people were kind of, they obviously, the documentary goes through this satanic panic and like all that stuff. But like during this late 70s, 80s time period and everything, and they were just like, it was somewhere where we belonged. And it's like, that's definitely the metal community. So like, it doesn't matter what band they were talking about in this documentary, the sentiment would be the same.
Yeah, you talk about get any fan base from any metal band, it's going to be the exact same thing said about that metal band.
Which could be against any other genre. We just don't seek out that genre, but
maybe not. I mean, I feel like the metal community is different. Oh yes, for sure.
I would agree with there. I would agree there. It's
but
definitely
I get what you're saying.
Different.
Like, you talk to a Swiftie, for instance, they're gonna have the same sort of way of talking about their fandom. And not even just music, but even like Marvel or DC.
That's true.
Or Stranger
like
Things.
And, you used to play Magic all the time, Magic the Gathering, so like those kind of
whatever
things.
your fandom is, music just happens to be one of our many fandoms.
Definitely the metal community. Like when they were talking, it's like, this is why we do what we do, like why we go to concerts, why we're like why we like to do this is because the community based aspect of it.
And they showed clips of Iron Maiden basically saying the same thing at one of their shows to the crowd, like, hey, we're here because of you, but also we're here together as like one big community and whatnot, and one family. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is. And again, a lot of metal, like there's not always, but there's a lot of times during performances where bands will come up and say something along those same lines.
Of course, and
it's true. It really is true. So
the other part that has stuck with me since we saw it is, I think it was Javier Bardem. Is that how you say his name? Bardem,
something like that.
I think it's a quote that he said, if I remember right, but he said, music is eternal. And I think he was talking about like, well, obviously it's going to come to an end one day for Metalocalypse, sorry, for Iron Maiden, because they're going to get older and die, obviously. But he said music is eternal, meaning the music's going to live on forever.
Yeah, I can't remember if he said that. I remember another fan, one of the guys wearing the battle vest, basically saying something very similar of like, they're going to stop it someday, but it doesn't mean they're dead or they're gone.
Yeah,
it means it just means no tours, no new music, but they're going to live on forever through their music. And we've said the same thing before
for sure.
as well.
Yeah.
But it's very true. They're, their music, the fact that it's stuck around this long and has so much impact still today that it did in the 70s and whatnot.
And even when we went to see them a few years ago, the crowd base is so diverse. Like you have these old guys who have obviously like been there since the beginning, but then you have young kids too coming, and it's like it's so cool to see their fan base, because it's like totally, it's not, and Metallica's the same way, where you have some young kids and you know like the old guys, but it's like it's not like going to a deathcore show now where we're the old people.
It's definitely, especially if you're exploring metal and going through metal, like I said, it's Sabbath, Maiden, Priest are like the three cornerstones, the three founding fathers of metal to me.
Yeah.
Maybe there's other ones in there as well, but like when I think of the founding of metal, it's those three for sure that stand front and center. So when you start getting into metal, it doesn't matter if you start with deathcore, at some point your journey's probably going to take you down the path of like, where'd this come from? And
like,
you're going to dive into that type of stuff. Even like
for sure.
black metal, like the most commercial black metal, Cradle of Filth, one of their biggest songs, Hallowed Be Thy Name, is a Maiden cover.
Yes. Yep.
So like, yeah. The other thing that I really enjoyed during the show or the movie was all the other sort of 3D animations of Eddie.
Oh yeah, that they added in,
which was basically the cover albums come to life.
Yeah,
and
that
like
was
sort
really
of
cool.
the intro into it, and seeing all those different versions of Eddie. And I loved when they were talking about Eddie and just going through like
and like how Eddie made them mainstream because it's like became the mascot and all that stuff. So yeah, it is kind of cool. Yeah. One thing I wish that they would have put on a little bit more is talking about the tour. Like they talked about touring a lot and how they used to go for 15 months. And I mean, because I remember that, like, and we've talked about that on the podcast before, where like tours, even back in like the early 2000s, would go on for months. Yeah. And now they're like 6 weeks.
6 weeks, take a week off, a month off, go on tour again for another 2 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like how it used to be. It's probably still draining and everything on them, but I mean, they used to be on the road all the time. But
that's one of the reasons Bruce left. He said is he got burnt out. He's like, I can't do this.
He's like, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Like, it's just too much to do this. And then he wanted to come back because he wanted to tour more, you know. But basically out of that is they didn't really necessarily talk about the tours that they did. They showed them really, really quick in like a loop on like the cities they went to and stuff. But that's something I really enjoy seeing in documentaries or anything historical about bands. Is like, oh, we went on this tour with these bands, and it's like, oh, then you could see the connection of the band. Like Lamb of God, we like in Mark's book, he talks about it a lot, where he's like, oh, we went on tour with Gwar, we went on tour with, you know, like all these people, and then it's like, oh, now we see the connection of the bands.
And that's again like a negative toward this thing, is that it's so wide. It's from start to finish, where if it was more condensed and consolidated,
they should have done a
focused
4-part docuseries. That's the best way to do documentaries.
You could have easily done a limited docuseries for sure. Definitely on a streaming platform of some sort.
Not in theaters. Yeah.
But the other aspect that they did talk briefly on as well is that, you know, once Bruce left in the 90s, they started to fall off. They weren't as big as they were. And they start playing small club shows of a couple hundred people, a couple thousand people.
After playing stadiums to thousands of people.
And it makes me think, like, you see this sort of up and down with bands, where bands will get really big. Especially like early on in their career, they have like a big hit that comes out and people love it, and they're out there touring forever on like big shows. And then after a few years, the audience moves to something, the next big thing, and they sort of petter off.
Well, they kind of said that about the 90s also, is like people weren't necessarily going to metal shows.
It was grunge. Like, they pointed out grunge.
Yes, they did point out. I forgot that they pointed out grunge. Yeah. Like that was the new thing. But then there was the comment of like, but where's grunge today?
Yeah.
You know.
We've been rambling a little bit longer than the normal 666 for this, or I guess this is the normal length for 666 now.
Yeah, they are. They're a little longer.
It was typically supposed to be 6 minutes and 66 seconds. We need to get back to that. We might bring the timer back to it.
This definitely wouldn't have been a good episode for that, but
we'll bring that back for sure. In any case, I want to wrap this up. I had a lot of fun watching this.
I enjoyed it too.
I love going to the movie theater for music related shit like this or live concerts. We've been to a few Ghost and Metallica. I do the Dead and Company ones. Or not the Grateful Dead ones. So I really love this kind of stuff. I want more shit like this. So hopefully it will be coming out. There'll be more documentaries.
Yeah.
And in fact, we're actually going to one next week here in Chicago as well.
Blood Incantation?
Blood Incantation, yes. So as of this recording, this will probably be up in the future. This will already have happened.
Yeah, but we'll probably do an episode on that.
Yeah, we'll probably do an episode on that. That one's going to have like a live Q&A as well.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I am too. I'm interested to see that too. So I'm excited for that. I want more shit like this. I love this kind of shit. So even though I wanted this to be more consolidated, the movie was fucking awesome. It was great. It gave me from like a fan, but not a super deep fan.
Yeah.
Because there were a couple guys behind us talking during the entire movie, which was a little frustrating. But you heard them talking, and they're like, "Oh, they're gonna do this next. Oh, they're gonna they knew the whole story." Yeah. Which I mean, maybe that'd be me and Metallica or something like that. You know. So all in all, this was a fucking blast. I want more shit like this. It's just a different way to talk about music and see shit that is related to music. So even though it's not directly a live show or something, it's still a musical connection, obviously.
Exactly.
Point is, just get out there, consume music or anything related to music because music's fucking awesome. So just get out there, explore music, and have a good time. We'll see ya.
Bye.